Electricast.
It's done.
Connor McDavid! It's not real!
The goal of the year,
Panarin!
part of the past. The celebrations, forgotten. The history,
Vegas Golden Knights!
history. We're back to a blank slate. Clean ice. All that matters now is what happens next. The Stanley Cup playoffs.
Eastern Conference Final begins Wednesday.
All right, welcome to Beyond the York Part 2. No, really part three. That's really Part 3, exactly. No, just kidding. Welcome to Missing the Point. I'm Rayshawn Buchanan with my guys. We have, my guy Mike's back in the building, so I already know how this conversation is going to go. So I'm already prepared for me to either agree with some things that I didn't hear or that I didn't know before, or be completely pissed the fuck off. I feel like it's gonna be a mix. Also with my guy, my brother DK Sizzle, he's back in the building. So yeah, let's get right into it. Our Boston Celtics, your Boston Celtics are now in the conference finals. We now know their opponent. We were pretty confident it was going to be the Knicks, Dave more so than me. But obviously, a multitude of things happened. Whether we want to say it's an excuse or not, but it's reality. But the Indiana Pacers went in there, Game 7, shot the lights out, and won 130-109. So, Dave, I'll start with you, man. But, were you surprised that Indiana, shot that well in Game 7? And then just as a follow-up to that, what do you think this matchup means for the Celtics going into the conference finals?
I was definitely surprised. It's not the first time this playoffs that we've seen all right, everybody just jack up shots and then they just all go in. Like that scene in Pleasantville where they all just shoot the ball in the gym practice and they all go in one after the other. They look like the Harlem Globetrotters out there with their on the floor shooting. They did it in Madison Square Garden in a Game 7, and I just think the only conclusion I can draw, and maybe this isn't fair, I just think God hates the New York Knicks. I just think that something happened along the way. Maybe it was Genesis. Maybe it was one of the other ones, old Testy. I don't know. But some New York Knick has angered him, the Lord Almighty, because he fucking hates the New York Knicks. They all got injured. And that's not hyperbole. They literally all got injured. And despite the litany of injuries, the injury report read like Dostoevsky every time you're prepping to come into these games. Despite that, they still took this bunch of absolute fucking joke basketball players to 7 games. Like the Indiana Pacers not being able to just dispatch this Knicks team that didn't have any healthy players up until the point where their best player breaks his fucking hand in Game 7 because that's how hard he's playing. And they shot the lights out. Okay. So did the Miami Heat. They're at home. So whatever, dude. I don't have a ton of respect for the Pacers team. I was really enjoying the narrative. I think that I'm annoyed because they fucked up the narrative I have in my head, which is us versus New York, bile, rage, piss. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people that listen to this don't live in the Massachusetts, New York area. If you've ever been to a Yankees Red Sox game, that didn't matter. You know what it is to be in the same in this environment that I'm talking about. And I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it oozing through the television because realistically, we've never had this in our lifetimes. We've never seen a competent Knicks team come up against a powerhouse Celtics team. I wanted it. I wanted to see it. I wanted them to feed me New York, and I wanted to cut them up. That's what I wanted to see happen. So now we just have to go beat the fucking Pacers. I mean, the memes are funny. Of Adam Silver getting whispered in his ear, sir, we just lost $1 billion because Indiana made it instead of New York. I understand. I lament it. I lament it for the sake of the NBA, and I lament it for us because it's just not as interesting of a storyline. As far as the Celtics go, we should 4-0 those fucking clowns. We just should.
Mike.
I mean, that's a hard act to follow. So bravo to you, DK. I think going into the series, right? Like the thing that we were all talking about was the grit of the Knicks, and they can go as far as Jalen Brunson can carry them. I mean, and he tried. I mean, he like DK said, he broke his fucking hand in Game 7. You compound that with the fact that I think the Pacers shot like 68% from the fucking field. And,
I'm surprised. Where's that 32% of them missing? Because I did not observe it. Like,
Right.
I don't remember it happening.
and with all of the injuries that the Knicks had, like it was just so clear that the pace of play that Indy played with, like they weren't going to be able to keep up. And I think I do think the Celtics are obviously going to win the series. I don't share DK's flair of 4-0, but I do think that this should be 5 gentlemen sweep, 6 games, because I think that a lot of the things that they do well on off nights for the Celtics, even though Ray, you don't think that they have them anymore, that their weaknesses, the Celtics' weaknesses, play into the strengths of Indy. I just don't think it's going to be enough for them to beat us in a series.
Well, I feel before I get into my analysis, I feel like to that last point, I think that it may not necessarily what they a weekend they're strong in. I think the Pacers are kind of like the Celtics light, meaning they like to run up and down as well too. And they've been the number 1 offense in the league all year, right? So it's not like something where it's a fluke that they scored 130. I mean, obviously, teams are not going to shoot 76% in the first half and then 68 for a game like that. That's unreal. Hence why it was the NBA record in the playoffs. Like that's a fucking joke. And like I heard earlier on national TV, it's the truth. It's like, when have you ever seen a Tom Thibodeau led defense, whether him as an assistant or even as the head coach, get shut off the building like that? And obviously, part of it is the personnel that was out there not knowing certain coverages, or just really just not even being a good defender. They didn't get into the airspace. They didn't, make it difficult for them to make shots. They got everything they wanted, and that's part of the reason why they're home. But far as like, I mean, listen, I've been a Halliburton guy since we started the show. I thought that he was going to be really good. He has been really good. I think that some people are kind of cooled off from him after the All-Star break, and rightfully so. I think that injury played a large part as to why he took a bit of regression, but he seems to be back on par. Our former Celtic, Neesmith, it looks like he's taking a leap. Miles Turner has been good. As Dave referred to him last week, he's a cold motherfucker, and not in a bad way. He's definitely improved. So yeah, they have some pieces there, but it's just like, I agree with the sentiment that, I'm kind of in between. I would both of y'all said, like, I don't think it'd be a sweep either, and it's mainly just because I just think that offensively they'll get a game, or if not 2, where they do go ballistic from 3, because that's what they've been all year. And they are a bit deeper than us on the bench, if I'm speaking objectively. Mainly, TJ McConnell's been a problem all playoffs. And, it's a lot. So, but
Plus minus is crazy. It's when he's on the floor, it's like
it's a lot. It's a lot. He's been the guy, but
you can't put runs together against their bench because of him. That's like been the thing that they've been able to do, is like when they start to rotate out like their top 3 guys, like they maintain wherever they are because of their bench rotation, which is a thing that is really handy. It's really handy to have.
But Mike, I'll come back to you. Is it a letdown for you though? I know Dave kind of alluded to it being a letdown for him, but is it a letdown for you that they're facing Indiana and not New York, or you care about them advancing regardless?
Well, I mean, I think on paper, yeah, like it's always good to have the Boston-New York rivalry, right? And all the hype that goes behind it. But in terms of the best series that we could have seen, I think that it's still going to be Indy versus Boston. I mean, the Knicks are so fucking depleted. I called them an infirmary last time I was on with DK. That it wouldn't have been the best series that we could have seen out of those 2 teams. If you're looking for a compelling series, I think that Indy provides us with the best chance of that. And either way, I think either of these teams, it was going to be over in 6 at the most. But I think these games are going to be fun to watch because, as you mentioned, like both teams like to push it, right? I mean, number 1 and 2 in the league in scoring, and they did it in very, very fucking different ways. But obviously, the Celtics led the league in threes, and Indy led the league in points in the paint. So, like, you're going to see lots of points especially without Porzingis in the first couple of games. You're going to see how we can how we can play defense, you know, out inside of the perimeter against this team. I think it's going to be fun. But again, if this goes 7, I'm just going to say now, if this goes 7, it's a fucking disaster. It is a disaster if this goes 7, because anything can happen in the game 7, especially with the Celtics, who love to lose at home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm running for that, Dave. Anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I don't agree. I definitely don't. I think that the Pacers are. I don't think the thing I don't agree with the most is like they do things that like feed into our weaknesses. I don't think that that's true. I think that the things that they do are the things that we defend against the best. They are really long. We're longer, like position to position, with maybe the exception of like how we rotate in the Siakam area of the front court. But hopefully Porzingis comes back later in the series. I'd rather have 100% Porzingis in the finals than 80% Porzingis in this series, to be honest with you. So like if we need to like, you know, hopefully we put ourselves in a position where we don't need to call on him too early and we can just let him get 100% healthy. But yeah, I don't think that the matchup problems that Indiana bring us are as bad as you guys are sort of alluding to. I think that like we have the ability to kill them at all 5 positions in any given situation. I think that like there's a little bit, and I don't think you guys are buying into this, but there's a little bit of a media narrative shifting towards their better players as though they're on the level of our better players. And like, you know, I understand you have to kind of pump it up, but like Miles Turner is not Jason Tatum. And I've been hard on Jason Tatum and I'll continue to be, but yeah, no, we have way better players than them. And that's why we kind of handed it to them most of the time we played them, except for the in-season tournament game this season in the regular season. Cause the way that they bully teams, they can't do to us. They're just not gonna be able to. I think you might be a little surprised, Mike, to see the matchup problems that they get that we hand them. I do agree with Ray for sure about their bench, and that's a mild concern. I really wish that that Joe would do the things that I've been asking him to do. I've been sending letters, Joe. Like, you know, when you're playing a Cleveland team like minus Donovan Mitchell, like maybe you can experiment with the lineup a little bit, like see how it works in the playoffs. Like they're playing really hard. Maybe we can see a small ball lineup like with Tatum at the center. Like, could we just see, you know? And I think that like it's a really lost opportunity because I think that this Pacers team specifically, we could throw a lot of looks at and really fuck up and discombobulate them, because I think they're going to be really surprised how closely contested their shots are, because the Knicks did that to them and it just threw them for a fucking loop because they just had a hand in their face. They couldn't get clean looks. They're a finesse team, you know? And like the only thing I could really see happening is if the Celtics try to get into a little bit of a fucking cool guy finesse contest with them, which obviously I would prefer they just go play them really hard like the Knicks did and just blow them out of the fucking water with a more talented and hardworking team. But they're probably just going to try to style on each other, and I think there's going to be a lot of shooting. So it's probably going to be a 3-point contest for like the first 2 games. And we're probably going to win that too. Like we also have better shooters. So to me, I wanted New York for the fact that they were going to play us really, really hard. And I think that this team needs that. Yes, I do agree. We still would have won the series. Of course, like they're so injury depleted. I would definitely have been a lot more worried if 4 of their injuries hadn't occurred, like coming into this, at least. So, you know, that, and it would have been Brunson-less, I guess, in the context of this. But if he didn't get injured and they won the game, like, you know, that's what I was looking forward to, because they just would have played us so fucking hard and we would have been battle tested going in. And I'm a little nervous about the Western Conference because, like, I know we'll come on and talk about this later, but I'm scared of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, they felled the dragon of the fucking West, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be sitting waiting for us because they're going to 4-0 the fucking Dallas Mavericks. Like, I think that's going to be a blowout of a series. So if it goes 7, I agree, Mike, that's a fucking disaster, because we're just going to have those cold motherfuckers sitting on the mountaintop waiting for us to come get our due. And I don't want to be like wrestling in the mud with the fucking Indiana Pacers while those assassins watch from afar. I don't want that. So right. we got to look as cold, if not colder, because we're playing worse competition. So there's a lot for me. There's a lot riding on the context going into the finals, because yes, I think we're going to win the series. It's a fucking disaster if we don't. I don't even really want to entertain that conversation. Yes, I think we're going to win the series. And yes, I think the Timberwolves are going to win the series. So there's a ton of context now riding on the finals. As it's disappointing because you get less games per day, but as we move into there being less and less teams, we have to now, I think at this point, take serious consideration of the teams across the park at us, looking at us from the Western Conference, you know?
Yeah. No, all valid points. I just think it just goes back to why I wasn't upset that obviously both the Miami and Cleveland series ended in 5. New York had a chance to close out in Indiana Friday night. They had a chance. And obviously, I mean, it sucks what happened with Josh Hart, but the Brunson injury doesn't happen if win Friday night. You could rest him. You could rest him until Tuesday because they needed that rest battery. If they didn't won Friday night, they rested Tuesday.
Tim's is never gonna do that shit though. Like
right. But I'm not. I mean, sure. But I mean, no. I mean, I'm saying, but I mean, that they would have had days off until Tuesday if they won.
Right. Oh, I see what you mean. But it's like
that's the thing. That's the problem.
Wasn't it? Didn't you read that? I mean, I agree in hindsight. Like that, you're absolutely right. But didn't you read that Game 6 as they were like, all right, we'll take him back to New York and we'll put him away at Madison Square Garden. Like I just think they had a little bit of like that's all right. Like and by the third quarter,
I mean,
like,
I think, and we'll get into it, in a little bit. But I think, obviously, I think Denver has some of that same mentality.
Oh, totally. I watched that happen
and
too.
It's like
that wasn't smart of them.
Between having that mentality and being fatigued, and like I said, I'll bring up a team that this Denver team reminds me of. Now, granted, they didn't win as much as the team I'll compare to them, but it's just kind of how their run has looked the last few years, reminding me of a team of the past. I'll get into that shortly. So there's your teams there, but yeah, I don't know. I just think to me it's just important, for any series, it doesn't matter regardless of opponent, to finish as early as possible. So yeah, I agree. It would be an utter disaster. Me and any other person who's been super positive would deserve every bit of slander if it went to 7 games. Let me be clear. Yes, I've been positive. Yes, I think they're gonna dog walk most teams. But let me be clear. I would definitely deserve all the slander and anybody else. And like, if that was the case, if it was something, because like I said, that would be insane. But my checkbook would say thank you. So if that was the case, my checkbook would be cool. But let me be clear. I do not want to be there on June 2nd, which is my mom's birthday. I don't want to be there for a Game 7. So even though she'll be out of town, but I don't want to be there. So let me be clear. So, but now we move, staying there in that series. Obviously, we went through a bunch of players that we just named, but Dave, I'll start with you. Who do you think could be an X factor, not just for the Celtics, but the Pacers as well in the series?
For the Celtics or for the Pacers?
Both teams, both.
We have about 9 of them. So at any given time, it's nice to see that like anyone can step up. I was pondering on my commute today. I was pondering Al Horford again. Sorry, Anna, by the way, for saying you're his wife. You are in fact his sister. My bad. But you are still really funny on Twitter, which I did say. I was thinking about him and I was like, there's a period, as much as he did an amazing job against Cleveland, especially in that closeout game, there's just periods where like he's involved on the defensive side every single time. And I think Cleveland were trying to exploit him. And I don't hate that we just like played him a ton of minutes and said like he's still gonna like work super hard and be really effective. So his like overall contribution on the floor is gonna like be net positive. But I worry about the Pacers being able to exploit that sort of area of the court. I'll say again, like I was really fine with Kornet in situations against Cleveland. Brissett, like, did he try to fucking date Missoula's wife? Can we just see him for like a few minutes? Can I just see him for a couple of minutes? Like, I mean, I get that you're at the Auerbach Center, like training with him every day and stuff. Like, and you're the coach. Like, I'm not trying to. But can I just see him for like a fucking couple of minutes, dude? Like, do we have to play Al Horford like 97 fucking minutes in a basketball game? Can we just see, especially against a team with the length of of Miami? But all that being said, that length in the front court is what makes me nervous. Ideally we get Porzingis back at 100% and he cancels out the Siakam factor. But I think Tatum's going to need to work pretty hard against Siakam. I've seen that matchup not go our way in the past. He's got the kind of length that can do us a little bit of damage in the front court.
Yeah, your beloved Toronto Raptors.
Yeah. I mean, I again said that they stunk, and historically we haven't had to have that many more conversations about them, have we? So, because then we do this playoff show here, and they just haven't seemed to come up. So, we've had trouble with him in the past. I think that Tatum's a more mature player. I think that they're smart enough to realize that like we're going to need to defend the front court against a team like this with the length that they have. And I also think that at our guard position, we're going to do that thing that we do to every team defensively, where we throw guards at them, that the likes of which they've never seen on the defensive side of things. And like, I just think it snatches your soul when Derek White rises up and like blocks a jump shot that you're taking from like the 3-point area. And when he does that to Miles Turner, I think that's going to be awesome. So I think that those momentum shifts will start to happen. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to be able to do to teams like this. I'm not as confident when we're talking about playing the T-Wolves, but I don't know if we're talking about that yet.
Mike.
Yeah, I think that the biggest X factor for the Celtics will be Porzingis, just to see what he can do if he comes back in this. And I think I agree with you, DK. Like I want a 100% KP against whoever we play from the West versus 80% of this series. But I don't think that you'll be able to come back into the finals against the Minnesota team cold. I think you have to play some minutes, right? So I think we have to see what he looks like. I also think though, like my biggest thing is going to be Indiana defensively, what they decide to do. Are they going to play, or are they going to try and double either Tatum or Brown? Or are they going to try and play them one-on-one? Because if they try to play them one-on-one, they're going to get smoked on the free throws, right? Like we're just going to go to the fucking rim, and I mean that's what we should do, and shoot 40 free throws a game. If they try and double somebody, and then we're just going to make it rain threes, right? So I think that what they do defensively, obviously, this isn't like a great take, but is gonna tell us how are the Celtics going to try and beat this team? Are they just going to just do what they want to do and just shoot threes? Or are they going to go to the basket? Like if you see that one-on-one, are they just going to go to the hoop every time and just make them change? So I think the Celtics have a multitude of ways that they can win this. This is a favorable matchup for Tatum. I mean, he averaged 33 points against them this year in 5 games. I think this is his best opponent in terms of the regular season. So it might be what we need to get him feeling like, he's the number one guy on the team. Start acting like it if we have to go up against Ant in the next round.
Mm-hmm. No, valid. I think for Boston, I think this is going to be a Drew Holiday series. We've seen glimpses of it in the Cleveland series.
If he can shut down Halliburton, then I think they should start building the statue outside now. Like at that point, he's just done his job. At that point, he's done exactly what we needed him to do. If he's just gone and taken Halliburton out of the game, which I think he can do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think defensively, I feel like we know night in, night out what you're going to get. I think more so we're going to see more aggressive for him offensively, and that's where he's going to continue to prove his value even more. Like I said, if he's between that 15 to 18 range for his points, like then, we're in very good shape going forward. And then just on the Indiana side, his name came up earlier in the show already, but listen, what TJ McConnell's been able to do in this playoff has been awesome. Once again, he has bounced around the league. He got to start in Philadelphia, but he's always been a guy that can be an 8th and 9th guy. He's been more like this 6th man this playoff, where Carlisle's used him in a multitude of ways. He's been scrappy. He's been someone that's stabilized their second unit. They're missing Benedict Mathurin, who is really, really talented. I'm actually glad that he's not going to be involved in this series, because he is someone, he kind of reminds me of J.R. Smith, that can just get 30 off the bench whenever you need him to. So I'm glad that he's not available for the series. Once again, I want him to come back healthy, but I'm glad that he's going to be a spectator like the rest of us for the series. So yeah, TJ McConnell has been awesome. I can't say enough about what he's been able to do. I fully expect Neesmith to have a game kind of like how Max Strus did. There just seems to be guys that either were former Celtics or got dealt or didn't make the team, whatever, so on and so forth. There's a forever vendetta. So I'm already mentally prepared to see a game or two from Neesmith where you're like, where the fuck did this come from? But he has taken a leap. So I want to give him credit where it's due. He's not an all-star caliber player, but he's turned into a really good role player. And he's going to start.
I'll give you one stat about Neesmith if you're interested. Mm-hmm. Every Pacer that plays above the threshold minutes for this to matter, their average points and assists and rebounds are lower versus Boston than the rest of the regular season, except for Neesmith.
Right, exactly. Right, correct.
And he always
Yeah.
plays better against us. And everybody else on the Pacers, whenever we play them, they always play worse than they play everybody else. So, you know, Neesmith, I think will actually have a game. And he's obviously, I always liked him, to be honest with you. So I'm kind of happy he's good.
Yeah, obviously he felt slighted that he was in that deal for Brogdon, obviously. As he should. And any pro athlete should feel slighted when they get dealt. Yes, it's a business, but you feel like, hey, if I didn't get a fair shake here, or if I wasn't developed the way that I thought I should be developed as a player, and that's what he felt happened. So, he's made the best of an opportunity.
It's unfortunate, honestly, because like the way that the roster was constructed when he was here, I didn't really see a path for him in. But I think what we see now is I think we were a little bloated at certain positions that maybe would have been, it would have been better to give him the kind of development minutes that he needed. And that obviously would have paid off. And I think anyone that watched him play, like, he was a pretty high draft pick for us, right? Like, he didn't.
Yeah, he went out 14th overall. So yeah.
Yeah, we didn't just like piss at the fucking wall with him. Like, we had a podcast where we watched that draft. I remember it was like a live one, I think, and we like talked about him, and we were like, watching him and tracking his development. It's not like, it wasn't some scrub that came in from the fucking Red Claws, and we were just like, oh yeah, fuck this guy, give him a 2-way contract and then like get rid of him. Like, he was
right.
He just didn't really like, honestly, like. For me, if I was talking to him, I'd be like, dude, don't be mad at us. Like, we traded you. Like, we weren't going to give you the minutes that you needed, so you got traded. Like, that's good for your career. Like, look where you are now. You're like doing really good in Indiana. Like, you might see like a couple of Eastern Conference Finals on this team at most. But like, I think great, good job. Like, all parties are happy, right? If he was playing the minutes Sam Hauser was playing plus an additional 7. The Celtics team would be a lock for the finals. It'd be great if we still had him. And yeah, the Brogdon thing, I mean, in hindsight, but we were all fucking delighted to make that trade.
Oh no! I mean, it was the right move, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
like I want to be clear.
Yeah. We were driving his ass to the fucking airport. Let's be honest.
And once again, everything was fine until you hurt his shoulder in the playoffs last year on second round. So yeah, what I'm saying. So. Once again, where injuries become a problem, but no one cared. But that's all we'll get into that later on. But it's just like, I don't know.
Well, hold on.
He's been awesome.
Hold on. Do you care about injuries that became a problem for the Knicks?
No, I'm saying like it shouldn't be brought up. Is what I'm saying. Like, it's just like they're part of the game. Like, it shouldn't be something where it's made an excuse. No, of course. Once again, I want the Celtics to make the finals. We joked about, I think, on the last show or the show before. It was like, we wanted the easiest kind of possible. Well, we got it. So it's like, hey, we got it. So it's figure it out, right? Find a way to get there, and eventually win it. So once again, do I wish injuries could be turned off like Madden mode? I'm Madden, sure. Or NBA 2K, absolutely. I would love that, because I would love everyone to be at full strength and find a way to get a victory that way. But unfortunately, that's not how it goes. But yeah. But like I said, he's been balling for them. Neesmith, but we'll see. Hopefully they're able to neutralize. I'm assuming he's going to be on JB, and if that's the case, good luck.
Yeah.
Because JB is like a little brother anyway, so I already know he in his mind he's like, look, it's hunting season, and it's Dunk Dynasty out here, and you would have prayed. So yeah, that's where I'm at for that. So let's just do a quick series prediction. I think you guys kind of already said it, but let's just say it one more time, and then we'll jump into the Western Conference stuff. So for me, I'll start. I got the Celtics at 6. So Mike.
Well, can I ask a question before I give my prediction? And before we go to the West, I just want to know, like, it's been eating away at me for like the last 3 weeks. Is there anything aside from losing the series that the Celtics can do that will bring you a little bit closer to Earth that DK and I reside on, or are you gonna be pissing rainbows this entire time all the way to the finals?
So you and I spoke about this. I was like, do you rather the doom and gloom version of me? Is that what we want? Like, I mean, we've seen that. And then y'all had to say, "Oh, you're doing too much, Ray. Come back." Like, it's okay.
I never said that.
I'm saying in general, though. In general, I get told, man, like that's a lot, bro. Like, It's always negative. Like, you got to have some type of positivity. I've said this all year. It felt different when they made the move for Porzingis. Once again, I'll continue to give credit to you, especially if they win. Like I said, they and Porzingis has been a big reason why they've gotten to this point. But if he comes back to the finals and he is a major part, like, listen, that's going to be awesome to see. And then obviously getting Holiday, I compared the Drew Holiday move to getting neither of us were alive, but I compared that move to getting Dennis Johnson after they got swept by Milwaukee in the second round back in the early '80s. So I mean, I guess seeing bad play, and I mean really bad play to the point where it's like, 8 of like 35 would like that would infuriate me, to be honest. But no, it's just like it's the first of 4, and like I said, obviously if they were to lose the series, then obviously you would get the Rayshawn that you're waiting for. But until they get to the 4, I'm not going to be doom and gloom. Not saying that you guys are, because you're not. We just have different opinions. That's what makes the show. So there's nothing wrong with that. But until then, I am here for the ride. I just believe they're gonna find a way to get it done. And that's just how I see it. Until it doesn't happen, that's just where I'm at.
I have a gentleman sweep, Celtics in 5, and they lose game 2 at home. Shocker.
What?
Go for prediction.
I would have really appreciated if they didn't lose game 2.
Keep with the theme, baby. You gotta keep with the theme. If they lose game 2, we know they're winning in 5. Right? That's what's been happening, right?
It's still one of those things, though, right, DK? Though, if we predicted even a week ahead of time and then it still happens, the amount of fucking hate that's gonna spew out of our mouths on that next show is just gonna be so good, so good.
Well, I mean, I think that there's parts of like Rayshawn's transition into like a more upbeat individual that I truly do understand. I mean, I understand the whole thing. It's essentially true that this is the best version of the Boston Celtics we've ever seen while the podcast has been going on. So it's a decent exponential line graph for him to be like, I'm annoyed with them. They're not good enough. I'm annoyed with them. They're not good enough. I'm annoyed with them. They're not good enough. Then they got better. And he's like, okay, I think they might be good enough. And I think that that's a fair enough, like, sort of approach. I think that you and I are just a little bit more on the side of like, there's a lot of the same stuff happening that's cost us series in the past. But there's also like a lot of stuff that's cost us a series in the past that isn't happening. Like I'll say that. Like I think that we won 2 games against Cleveland where we were pretty much 5 points to 8 points up for the whole game. And then we closed the game out like really well. And including the go home game in Boston. And I really appreciated seeing that. It was very professional. It was exactly the way I want to see them win a series like that, with the exception of them losing game 2, obviously. Like, that was annoying as fuck. I let them off the hook a little bit more with Miami because Miami just like had that game 7 Pacers energy and everything was falling for them. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes teams just fucking have nights like this. Like, I don't know. We're still going to win in 5. Fuck it. The second series against Cleveland, I was like, come on, guys. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, stop it. They play down to their competition, and that's just like an annoying quality. And I think maybe it just bothers me and Mike more than it bothers you. I think that you're not wrong that the team is different this season. You made this extended point on the last show. The team is different this season than it is last season. So we can't beat them with the same broom handle of like, you're making all the same mistakes. And unfortunately, what ends up happening then is we sort of laser in on Brown and Tatum because they're more specifically Tatum, because he's the constant across the whole thing. He's supposed to be the best player. He's supposed to be the leader. So you end up sort of like, you can't even spread it around anymore. You can't even like look at Marcus Smart and be like, same old fucking Marcus too. Like, you're not even spreading the bullshit around. So Tatum gets a little bit more heat because they're qualities that he brings to the table a lot of the time. Also, Joe Mazzulla is a constant from last season, and he's still making boneheaded fucking decisions from time to time. So that annoys me a little bit. Overall, though, I mean, I wouldn't describe myself as negative. I would describe myself as nervous. I would describe myself as nervous that I am going to watch a movie that I've seen before. That's honestly where I'm at right now, because they've played that movie for me a couple of times, and it's really upset me. Like, it's I haven't enjoyed the emotional toll it's taken on me. So I'm trying to put some walls to like, prevent that from happening again, from hurting my feelings, I think.
No, to that point, listen, if that's the stance that you, Mike, and many others will have or can have, of course that's understandable because they've been knocking at the door, and the championship, the ring hasn't answered. There's been no ring, right? No ring at the door. I get that, but like I said, I'll like I said until I improve off for this once again this current version. Not talking about what happened last year, the year before. Yes, there is some context that matters as far as who's been there, who's been a part of the core, not necessarily getting the job done at the certain positions.
But
I get that.
there's 4, maybe 5 discernible versions of this generation of a Celtics team that we've seen almost, but not. And I think that like the problem is, it's like what sets this version apart if we see a lot of the same bad habits. Like the IT team is completely different to the Kyrie team, which is completely different to the Kemba team, which is completely, and the I guess the shell of his former self, Hayward team. Sorry for not mentioning him. And like he was never the same again. And I agree with you that like the things that happened weren't necessarily their fault, right? Like the injuries and the stuff that happened. Like you can't like fucking Gordon Hayward's leg. Like, come on. Like it's like who are you looking around to blame for that? Like, and I honestly don't blame the kid for never really being the same after that. I don't think I'd be the same person if that ever happened to me. I would cry on national television. That'd be awful. So like but I digress. Like all these different iterations, and then of course, like the Marcus Smart sort of like all the guys that have like survived all these different iterations team. The island of long misfit toys that we sort of had going the last 2 seasons, and now this one. And I see where you're coming from because you're saying like, well, this version hasn't done the thing yet, and I'm like, I can't dispute that they haven't, but all the other ones did, and it fucking sucked.
No, right. Right. But that's what I'm saying.
I've been hurt before.
No, right. No, once again, that's like, and that's why I always say, like, at the end, every time we had this conversation, I say, we want the same thing. We're just looking at it differently right now. And that's okay. To me, that's why I said it felt like, because remember, we watched the team a year. I mean, granted, the team wasn't as bad as that 06, 07 team was, obviously. But I was like, damn, we had watched the team lose 18 in a row that year before Kenny, KG, and Ray Allen. And I remember when that happened. I was in the barbershop and I said, they traded for Kevin Garnett. I was like, well, they healthy. It's a wrap. Like it just didn't matter. And then obviously the playoff happened. You're like, oh my God, they went 7 in Atlanta. Oh my God. You got.
It turned out it was a wrap though, and I absolutely do agree that we all, if you and I did not know each other when that trade happened, but if we were in the same room, I would have been right fucking there with you. I would have been like, when we made those trades and we put that team together, I was like, I don't know why anyone show up this season because we're winning that shit, and we fucking did.
and even because I want to go bring back to Mike. Mike, you said it. You said it on air. You said it on
land, on sea,
land, sea, everywhere, right? When this team is on, once again, your words, when this team is on, they're fucking unstoppable. Your words. So
but it's also worth noting the last time I actually typed those words out to you all, they lost that game.
Was it game 2? Was that game 2? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a great start.
Game 2's been the theme, right? But that's the thing, though. But in general, once again, that statement that you have made,
100%.
You have generally been right more than you've been wrong with.
But so, here's another just another peek inside this thing that I call my head. The reason why I'm so nervous, why I'm so down on them right now, is because I see what's coming. I see what's brewing in the West. Like we already know about the Nuggets.
Tell me about it, buddy.
But we see the Timberwolves, right? And if you don't win it this year, you may not win it for the next 4. So like this has to be like nobody gives like I think Giannis gets a pass, right? Based on how he plays, how selfish he is, everything like that, how he's destroyed pretty much a team and a head coach over the last 3 years. But nobody talks about him like that because he has a championship. We're harder on Tatum. Everyone is harder on Tatum, but us specifically in Boston are harder on him because he hasn't won yet. And I see what's happening with Anthony Edwards. We all know about Jokic and the Nuggets. This is the best scenario, the best time that they can win. And if they don't win it this year, I have some serious doubts as to if they're ever going to if they're going to win it in the next, like I said, 4 or 5. So
you know who agrees with you? You know who agrees with you? Ray, circa 2020 in the bubble.
No,
Fucking,
fair.
I can't believe that we're about to blow the easiest path to the fucking playoffs
Right. So
in the finals
you
that
know
we've
what's funny?
ever had.
This is easier than that. This is easier than that.
I agree.
So it's
I
easier than
agree
that. So
totally.
it's like, you know
And
what I'm saying? So
there's storms brewing everywhere, Mike. There's people you didn't mention. Victor Wembanyama. All they need is a guy who can
Yeah.
actually deliver a fucking entry pass, and that team is dangerous as fuck. Like fucking John Morant, who you brought up last
Yeah.
last show, Ray. If that motherfucker stops doing stupid shit, he's fucking scary. Like the league's good. The league's good.
I just think, there's more parity in the league than there's ever been, maybe since the 70s, when the only repeat champion was the team that we root for, the Boston Celtics. They won in 74 and 76. I just think that the last 5 years, or now 6 years, this will be the 6th year, we've had a new champion every year. I think the days of having a repeat champions or winning 3 out of 4, I think they're done for the time being. Right, there'll be another dynasty that comes about, and we'll talk about that team whenever that time comes. Hopefully, we're rooting for the team that wins the 3 out of 5, or 4 out of 8, whatever it may be, because that would be awesome to see, obviously. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But no, once again, everybody's fears is valid at this moment, because, like I said, it's been proven true thus far. Like I said, I'm at a point now where it's just what if those fears are conquered? And it's just like that. That's because that doesn't even get brought up. It's just like, well, what if they lose? What if they actually fucking win? What if they actually, in the words of Big Daddy Kane, what if they get the job done? What if they actually get the job done? And I'm working the parade as they're hosting up the trophy. What if that actually
I will
happens?
just say that
Oh my!
when things are going really well is when you hear people start saying, like, what happens when things aren't, right? So, like, we're all doing this because we almost expect them to win it this year, and we have expected them to be contenders, and they have been. I mean, Final Four, 6 out of the last 8 seasons. I mean, that's a good run. That is a good run. I would have liked to see more finals, but that's fine.
Right.
Now it's, again, if you do this, then all the pressure kind of goes away for a little while, especially on Tatum. But if you don't,
right, yeah, I think right now, because I think last week with Dave, I brought up us being the Philadelphia Eagles of the 2000s. But for those that may not follow football as much, which I don't know why you don't, because you must be living around the rock, I'll bring up a basketball reference as well. We're either the Sacramento Kings of the 2000s, early 2000s right now, or we're the Portland Trail Blazers of the late 80s, early 90s. So, the Clyde Drexlers, Jerome Kersey's, Terry Porters, they had a crazy amount of talent, went to 2 finals, lost to Detroit, lost to Chicago. This guy, Michael Jordan, was really fucking good. So it's just like, obviously I don't want to be remembered to be in history with those really.
Yeah, just think about how you talk about how you talk about those teams, right? So, like, I would just say I would much rather be the 02, 03 to 07 or 08 Pistons. You get there all those times and you win one. Fine. They won.
Okay. I mean, yeah, sure. That's valid, especially when they beat
Mavericks. I would throw that in there. The Dirk Mavericks. I like the idea of being a high profile, put together superstar team for your one, because it's about the way you win one. Like I'm not greedy. Like I'm on the same page as what you guys are kind of like, you're tickling the clit of, which is like, I just want fucking one, dude. Like I don't need to get, like, I don't need to three-peat. This isn't this isn't LeBron. Like, we're not going to win one. We're not going to win two. I enjoyed the final series that was the Dallas Mavericks against the Miami Heat more than almost any other final series I can think of, because they came in with such a fucking swag, and they were talking so much shit, and there was so much Beverly Hills 9. Do you guys remember this first Miami Heat season? There was so much Beverly Hills 90210 fucking drama. We had a players only meeting, and Coach Spo and Spo, who's now is talked about in the circles of some of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport. Everybody was fucking clowning on him, like, can he handle the egos? Can he do this? Whatever. And Dirk just came into that finals and just fucking handed it to them. Like, he just took LeBron down low. He was like, "Oh, you didn't develop a post game yet? That was dumb, dude," and just killed him. Like, people don't remember it because, like, LeBron, they remember that shit in Dallas, though. If we go and do something, and I mean, my chips are all the way pushed in on Anthony Edwards, guys. Like, they really the fucking are. Like, I'm watching him do shit, like, have a fucking bad game. He had a bad game 7, and he still hit the fucking dagger. And he still made the steal that was like, that led to the dagger, right? Like, and it was still against Jamal Murray, who was basically the linchpin of the deciding factor of that series. When he played well, when he had big games, that was a wrap for the Nuggets that night because Jokic, Joker, he's going to get his. He's going to get his. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. They made him look mortal again in game 7. But I feel like Anthony Edwards has a supporting cast of absolute buffoons, like just absolute circus clowns. And he's still sort of making it work and making them look like professional basketball players. And if we can just give him one, if we can meet the Minnesota Timberwolves in the finals and be like, yeah, but the Celtics didn't get him that 1 year, remember? I would like that. I would genuinely like that because I'm nervous about this guy. I think he's going to haunt our dreams.
Let's see. And let's just get into the West Conference. Like I said, that's a great segue. So, but I'll address that notion or that narrative there. See, that's where I disagree about some supporting cast. Had they had some bad games, absolutely, I would not sit here and say that it's been all,
It's always because they're being dumb, though. It's not because they're not talented. It's always because they're being dumb.
No, but when you have another number 1 pick in Towns who actually played really well last night,
he did. Except he got a fucking foul. He actually got a foul double again.
No, but
come on. Can you stop doing that?
You got a 3-time defensive player of the year. You got another great pro.
Fucking Mickey Mouse award, but sure.
Yeah, sure. But I'm like, he won it. So he won it. So the defensive player of the year 3 times, and then you have another rising young forward in McDaniels, who's an excellent wing, and he's emerging right before our eyes. So, and then obviously Naz Reid, who was 6th man of the year. They're not, once again, they're in the spot for a reason. And when you have that talent around them, once again, the guy that built Denver is now building Minnesota. So he basically built 2 Denvers, and now they're the younger, hungrier ones. That's essentially what happened, right?
I mean, they are built to beat Denver. I'll give you that.
Yeah, exactly. So he basically built, their version of the Avengers to beat them. Great, awesome. So let's just talk about that series. So obviously Minnesota wins the 7. Denver loses 3 of 4 at home, right? We had a lot of talk about what happened up here at home for us, but the defending champs lost 3 out of 4 in the series at home. So, Mike, I'll come back to you, but just, is home court advantage what it once was, or, did Denver just end up running into a buzzsaw?
I think Denver ran into a buzzsaw, man. I mean, I think it was a combination of that and the fact that they found a team that they could not outwork. Like, Denver loves to slow things down, play methodically, and wear you down, and you just couldn't do it to the Timberwolves over a 7-game stretch. They wouldn't allow you to do it. I thought that I thought that Derek Lively, I like his addition to the Mavs. Sorry, I want to talk about that too. I just had all these thoughts in my head. Mm-hmm. I think that, again, Anthony Edwards, he affects the game, to DK's point. Even when he's having a bad game, he's still the best player on their team. Why? He's telling everyone to run through screens. He's telling everyone not to get fucked up on one of those screens. He's literally coaching the team on the floor. I sent you the clip of that earlier today, Ray. Mm-hmm. It's like, if we saw a game where Jason Tatum, again, just to bring it back to Boston, was going 6 for 23 from the floor, do you think he's still commanding the floor like that? I don't. I've seen him not do that. So, and I think what you're again seeing here is the perfect compliment to Cat. I mean, you get a guy like Ant who's averaging 29 points a game this postseason, and again, he had a bad game last game, and now Karl-Anthony Towns is putting up 19. I forgot Rudy Gobert was in the league, and now he's hitting a turnaround jumper.
That was fucking crazy. That was fucking crazy. It was. I fell off of my couch when he hit that shot. I thought, are you fucking kidding me? That's when I knew the game was over, though. Because if he's hitting turnaround jumpers like that, what do you do?
To your original question though, and I'll let DK go. Like, I think home court matters when each team has a guy. Like when it's pretty even, right? But in a situation where, if you have all the all the best talent. And like, I don't think home court's going to matter against Indy. I really don't. I think we could beat them. It doesn't matter if we played Indy, Boston, Nantucket. It don't fucking matter. But I think these two, like, I think if you have a guy like Anthony Edwards, and last year if you have a guy like Joker or Jamal Murray, like, again, it's going to be close, and then the crowd's going to help you. But at the end of the day, we've seen really great home teams and really great home crowds lose, and we've seen it a lot this postseason. I just think we're entering a new era where these younger players don't really care how loud the crowd is. They don't care at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So to respond to the supporting cast point, it's mainly Gobert and Cat that I have the issues with, because I think that some of their on-court decision making across the series against Denver made the series a lot harder than it needed to be. I know that they weren't intentionally trying to get Gobert onto Jokic, but it happened a lot. And every single time it happened, Jokic made Gobert look like a fucking circus clown. It was one of the worst murders I've ever seen in like Jokic looked like fucking Shaq, like 0-1 Shaq against someone you can't remember their name. That's what it looked like. Gobert, defensive player of the year, sure. Monster game 7, which is so funny. Like it's so funny that like ended up being the narrative. And it mainly because that they kept Cat on Joker and they used Cat to keep Joker out into the perimeter. He got his a couple times, but he missed a bunch of threes. He missed like 5 threes in a row during that comeback, during that big rally by an amazing rally, like a record-setting rally by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I was sort of expecting it. I was like, I feel like they're going to do it, because I saw them start to lock in defensively. And when they play defense, the way that I've seen them play defense in Denver, I think that's what happened, to answer your original question, to the Denver Nuggets. Like, they play defense in a way where I'm like, that's some of the best defense. It's clean. It's smart. Everyone's switching at the right time. And then they have these other moments where Towns is fouling when he doesn't need to. I mean, look at the last 2 minutes. Like, there was a little bit of a scare where they had like that little bad inbounds pass and they were like only up 8. 2 minutes left, and it was like a bad inbounds pass. It was like bad communication. It was like, guys, like, hold on a second. I think those are the guys I have an issue with. On the other hand, there's all the qualities that Mike very eloquently put of Ant when his mic'd up is like an audiobook to listen to of basketball knowledge. Like, the kid's 22 years old and he's telling everybody exactly what to do. He's managing effort levels. He's calling stuff out. He communicates like a true point guard from the early 2000s. Like, he literally like really moves everybody around, and he's getting a ton of that from Mike Conley. Like, Mike Conley is, and Ray, you already made this point like weeks ago. Like, full credit to you, and you know, but it's not an unknown quantity what Conley's bringing to the table. And the worst performance Minnesota put out in that series was when he wasn't playing. So, you know, like, the way that he supports Ant, the way that he like is the metronome, like tick tock the entire game. It's point guard play that make you really admire point guard play. You know how I feel about basketball, where my priorities lie. My priorities lie firmly in the front court, and I've always really just maintained that. Like, I've just always wanted to be that guy. I wanted to have that team. Like, I like a lot of guards. Like, obviously there's guards that really impress me, but goddamn, if that backcourt of the Minnesota Timberwolves isn't fucking unbelievable to watch. And I just really enjoy it. I really enjoy what they did to the Denver Nuggets. They made Jokic look human, first of all, and they made the supporting cast of the Nuggets look really, really frail. So I'm just a little worried about this sort of assassin-like nature they want to put the second half of that game 7. You know, mentality-wise, it's like makes me nervous. Well, but I do agree with everything that Mike said about Ant. I don't have anything more to add to that. I could talk about Anthony Edwards for the next fucking until the cows come home, but Mike did a really good job of it. So
no, and I don't usually say this right in the middle of the show, but I'm gonna say it, like, this has been a real fucking dope conversation. Like, I just have to be honest. I think that, you know, we're giving, you know, basketball orgasms to people as they listen to this shit right now. That's just how I feel. But, you know, to the point about, I mean, listen, it was a 28-point comeback altogether. What was it altogether? They something like that. Either way, it was 20 plus points. 22. 22. Okay, I thought it was okay. So,
but the record was like 15, like going into that game.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah, exactly. So,
For a game 7.
Unfortunately, I think that might have been against us. It might have been the Lakers, unfortunately, but that hurt.
Great. Well, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. It's over.
Thank you,
It's gone,
Minnesota.
baby. No, but to the point about Denver, I think Mike Malone, who had a terrible press conference, in my opinion. Once again,
Oh my God, you want to talk about
you
that,
can't
Mike?
be
What are
the-
you doing, pal?
Yeah, you can't be the big dog in the yard last year.
You're bullying reporters, buddy. He asked you a pretty fair question. It was a pretty fair fucking question, man.
Yep. And I'm like, once again, I thought that he handled that poorly, like I heard earlier on the national show. But
Shannon Sharp cut him up, huh?
he did. He went off. He went off.
He gave him that uncle treatment. Jesus Christ. He was like,
he wasn't
your
wrong,
ass down.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong. But I just think what Denver reminded me of, and once again, they obviously didn't win back to back, but they've had a really deep run the last several seasons. They remind me of the Isaiah Thomas Pistons in this regard. Now, granted, they weren't as great defensively, they weren't as physical. So, for those that listen to say, what is he talking about?
You're not allowed to be anymore.
True. But it's like, what I mean is they, for the last 6 or 7 years, they've been going. They had a few conference finals runs. They've been deep into the second round. So it was a mix of this guy, Anthony Edwards, is really a fucking problem. It's a mix of that. And I think fatigue finally, or at least mental fatigue, it may not be physical, but mental fatigue finally caught up to them to the point where, because Minnesota just kept attacking, they just legit had no answer. And once again, I don't want to make it seem like, because it's not an excuse, like that's just what happened. So I think that's what it was. Like I remember when Chicago beat Detroit, it was just like, okay, it's their time. Like it is what it is. And it was something you can do, after that. So, and once again, it makes sense because we're comparing, or a lot of compared him to be a young MJ. So, that's why
that really has taken off, huh? That's rough.
Yeah, no, for sure. I thought it was appropriate to bring that up since that was the comparison. So, but no, I mean, listen, Denver overall has had a great run, but like I said, sometimes that young lion is hungry. They take over the village, and that's exactly what happened. And it once again, credit to them. They made their run last year after falling short, but they got the job done. Minnesota got the job done this time. But I want to say in
response to that point specifically, though, really where I think that it turned, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on this because of the conversation we had earlier in the Discord. The where it turned was in the second half when Anthony Edwards, I think, thought his way into the game and decided the way that he was going to access and influence the game was on the defensive side of the ball. And he went and basically clamped the best performing player in the game coming into the second half, who was Jamal Murray. And he made him look fucking silly on a couple of those defensive plays that were huge for them down the stretch, that really put them in a position to not have to worry about getting daggered by something Jokic was going to do around the rim. They just kind of comfortably landed the plane in the last, 50 seconds or whatever after that mile fuck up. But do you think that in seeing that, I know I've been trying to fucking tell you guys about the level of problem this motherfucker is, but do you think seeing a 22-year-old access the game in that way, where yes, we saw him look every bit of 22 in this series, right? Where we saw him in game 3, where they started throwing double teams at him and, just trying to confuse him, trapping him with triangles, just completely taking him out of the game, sort of saying if the rest of them kill us, fine, but we can't let this train keep going, which I totally understood as a defensive tactic from Denver. Especially at home where it's you're not expecting it, go at the star player, not an expected move, really smart. But I just wonder, what was your perspective on then seeing him in the same series when it was series on the line? If they lose, they go home in game 6. Hits the fucking shots that he hits and says, "I'll see y'all motherfuckers in game 7," to a bunch of killers. He's looking at a bunch of killers and saying that these are motherfuckers that are tried, tested, and proven. They have the mint. They have the gold. Mm-hmm. They're good to go, right? They're there. You can go to Jokic's horse farm and he might take you out back to woodshed and shoot you. You don't know what that guy's all about. So he said that, and he also adds this thing where he's having a good time doing it. He has this fucking smile on his face, this charismatic presence where he's and then he accesses that in game 7, Ray. And you see a defensive performance that changes the game and wins them the game. Yes, I'm not taking anything away from Naz Reid, who also took over for 6 minutes, basically playing outside linebacker. I loved it. I loved every second of the Naz Reid like bully ball performance. Like that was perfectly timed and wonderful to watch. I think Karl Anthony Towns absolutely did have a lights out game. I 100% agree with you. He still makes me so mad with the fouling, especially since Ant called him out in public. I think Conley had the game I needed Conley to have. He didn't make mistakes, which was great. But I think Ant turned it on a defensive performance, which is the identity of this team. So I wonder, like there's a million Lego pieces that have to go into building a guy of the caliber that he's getting compared to. Michael Jordan isn't just a name. Michael Jordan is a collection of a million moments over the span of an amazing career. And this kid's just getting started. It's not a fair comparison, but he's been special a couple times, right? Like,
I mean, it's once again like I said, we talked about the Memphis series. I think either last year or a couple of years ago. Oh, it was 2 years ago, I think. But they lost to Memphis in the first round. And once again, we saw some moments of greatness in that series, but Ja was just a little bit better at that moment. I think because Ja had the better team around him. They played defense really well. Jaren Jackson had finally showed up in that fucking series. So there was a lot of things that went well or went against them in that series. But I think because he's so competitive, because his attention to detail improves really, not forget about each game, really every quarter, right?
yeah.
That's where, or really every possession, the next thing for a young player is to start thinking the game. Like you said, if I'm not going to impact the game offensively, what else can I do to impact the game? And once again, I know that's something that Mike always loves because Mike talks about, something Tatum has done or even Brown has done. It's like, can you impact the game when you're not at your best in any capacity of the game, right? You could be having a bad game defensively, but are you getting to the line? Are you making the right pass? Are you are you talking to your teammates? Like, there's a whole bunch of things that go into being not just a guy, but being the guy. But yeah, I think that he thought through this. I think that last year losing to them obviously was definitely added motivation. So once again, they were Denver's toughest series last year. They were.
Yeah.
It wasn't Miami. It wasn't the Lakers. It wasn't. I forget what they even beat in the second round last year, but it might have been Phoenix. I can't remember. But Dallas beat Phoenix last year. Excuse me. But it's just like that. That to me, because he's now thinking through the game or learning to think through the game, that's what adds to his caliber of a player. And again, he's a throwback in an era where everyone wants to be besties. That's really the biggest reason. Like his talent is superb, but because he is a throwback type of player, that's what I think gravitates the fans that are our age to him the most, in my opinion.
I mean, hell yeah, it is. Like, I love his attitude, dude. Like, I was gonna bring this back around to like the sort of the Tatum conversation because like this is an ongoing conversation, but not one we've really had the opportunity at this point in the playoffs to talk about, all three of us. I wish Jason Tatum was more like that.
Yep. Yeah.
It's kind of what we've been saying for I don't know, 5 years.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if after losing your third straight to a team that you're up 2-0 against, now you're down 3-2, if Tatum has it in him,
right,
to say to the building staff or whoever, I'll see y'all motherfuckers for game 7, and believe it. Like Anthony Edwards did, and he believed it, and like I don't know if he manifested it, but he just decided that you're gonna have to do a whole hell of a lot more than shut me down in order to beat this team, and he made everyone on the court better.
So you're not supposed to know how to play out of a double team that effectively at 22 either. By the way, I would just like to point that out. You're not supposed like everybody else gets off the hook when they it takes them like 8 years to learn how to play out of that double team. We're just saying.
But to that point about, I guess, Tatum being more vocal, and I feel like I don't know if it was me and Dave or maybe it was all three of us on the show a while back, but we talked about the dynamic between Tatum and Brown and how in our era it was Pierce and Walker. If we remember, Pierce wasn't a talker early on. It was Antoine that would get in people's face, say something on camera, off camera, very much like how Jaylen Brown is like that guy now. Jaylen Brown will say something to Tatum, he'll say something to anybody on the team. And so maybe that's just not his persona right now. I don't know if there's someone that gets brought in, but that brings that out of him, maybe. But what I will say, and then Mike, I'll listen to your retort there. I think that the couple of times that he's been down 3-2 in his career, I feel like he's shown it with his play the next game. It may not be, oh, come on, y'all, we'll see y'all Sunday. He's come out and got 46. He came out and closed out Philly in game 6 when it mattered. And then in game 7, obviously with his 51-point performance. So I just feel like he's at a point right now where he'd rather lead with his play, and he may not be necessarily comfortable with saying certain things. And once again, every star player is not like that. We want that to be, but that's not always the case. Chris had become that complete dog. He was always a dog offensively, but he didn't become that complete dog until Garnett got here, in my opinion.
Can I say something sacrilegious about the Pierce Walker team? That team just like jacked up threes. That's just like
that's what this team does now. That's what this team does now.
I know, but like it was that team that just jacked up threes averaged 91 points a game in the playoffs in 2002. So like it's just a little bit of a different situation. I think like I know we all had a lot of watching that team. No, I know. It was just to make it wasn't really a rebuttal to you. It was more to make a larger point that like I know we lionize that 2002 team because we were all 12 and watching them just shoot and like yell at each other and the other team was a lot of fun and Antoine Walker was big and hilarious. And like my best friend in middle school saw him at McDonald's after one of the games, and that was like just the coolest thing that ever happened to any of us. And like I know it's sacrilegious to say, but God, that team wasn't that good. It's like maybe the worst Eastern Conference Finals team in the last like 25 years.
I think,
but that's all I have to say. Sorry, everybody, on the Boston Sports Podcast.
I would just say like the thing that I love most about Anthony Edwards is what you and DK have already pointed out is that like it feels like he has it like some of that like like that dog in him on the court. He's not afraid to get in your face and talk shit about you, and in an era like exactly where everyone wants to be friends. Tatum, I don't feel like you could point to like 7 different things after I say this that will say that I'm wrong. When Tatum dunked on LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he stared at him. That was like the last time. It was like that was like the last time he did that to a player on the court, where like he looked like he was like the guy, and he said it with his body language, he said it with everything. Anthony Edwards is doing it every night. I know Tatum can do it. I want him to do it, which is why I'm itching for a Boston Minnesota series because it's going to be scary as fuck. But I think just like Tatum locked down KD in that last Brooklyn series, I think if Tatum decides, listen, I'm not going to say anything to you, I'm not even going to look at you, I'm just going to make sure that you don't get yours. You're going to get 12 tonight. Figure out how to beat us. Like that will say a whole hell of a lot.
I mean, yeah. And what's he is he capable? You damn right he's capable. Yeah, and I would love to see that. I think, but so once again, it's like we've all done this before. I'm glad you brought that last point up. So I think for the Tatum narrative, I think the matchup needs to be Minnesota, right? I think to me the more compelling story is the Dallas Mavericks because of Kyrie, because of what happened with KP. They gave up on him, and now he's facing you in the finals. And he gets a chance to take you out. Like I think that to me is just like it's also cinema in my mind. Those games there with Kyrie coming back, games 1 and 2 would be insane. It would be insane. And I'm like, I would love to be in the arena. Well, I will be, but I'm saying, I would love to be in the arena just to see that happen. Like once again, for the Tatum narrative, yes, it makes sense for them to face Minnesota and get his first ring against a phenomenal talent. But I would love to set Luka up. I would love to. Oh my God! And they brought it up last time because I'm tired of a white guy being the best guy in the NBA. I'm sorry. Yes, I would love it. I would love.
It's so embarrassing.
Yeah, I would love
it's so embarrassing for the fucking league when the
I would like. I mean that's. I mean that brother's special too. That brother's special too. So. It's like once again,
it's like this, but this fucking era. I'm European. I was born in Western Europe. I don't want the fucking best player in the NBA to be a fucking white European guy. That's so stupid. That's so dumb. That makes the NBA so geeky. Like, come on, guys. Like, get out of here. Like, the best player in the NBA,
he's a problem though. But
what signature shoe would you buy from a white person? Like, get the fuck out of here with this. Like, it doesn't
I
work.
would have got Larry Bird back in the day. I would have got the Converse back in the day. I would've.
Larry Bird is not a white guy. Come on, tell me. Also, give me a break. He has not graduated. If fucking Larry Bird, they're like, that was insulting. That I was personally insulted. Well, Larry Bird's not white. Christ's sake, he's Larry Bird. That's what he is. Is he white? Is he black? He's Larry Bird. He's graduated. He's fucking graduated. The man. I mean, honestly, I think that's fair enough to say.
Please let us.
I feel like that's fair to say.
Oh my God!
Larry Bird is white. Come
Oh
on,
my God!
man.
Oh.
I was gonna say something about fucking TJ McConnell when you were talking about him.
Hey, let's get it. Let's go.
On the fucking Pacers segment, I was like, yeah, that would be a real Jason Tatum team thing to do. Like, let the whitest guy on the team kill you. Like, stop that. Like, just shut that fucking team down. Oh, Max Strus is having a good game. Jason, this is embarrassing, dude. He's white as fuck.
Oh my God!
Brian.
Oh my God! That's awesome. That's awesome. But no, but I do want to get see a little more about Dallas because like I said, they beat a really good OKC team.
I really
I
like
just
that.
felt like I think we talked about
I
after.
don't have anything bad to say about them losing. I think it was like maybe a
Yeah.
bonehead play by Shea at the end, but I like that team. Shea's a killer.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that was definitely a bad foul, but I mean like I felt like after when Dallas had won Game 5 out there, I was like, okay, like I felt like maybe they're on a little bit of running themselves. So I mean, like I said, either one of y'all can go on this, but just just kind of speak to what you saw in that series that can make Dallas a legitimate threat in this conference finals. I know, Dave kind of gave he kind of foreshadowed his thoughts on Dallas a few moments ago, but I just want to go a little deeper dive in it. So, Mike, I'll start with you. Just your thoughts on that series overall, and what do you think Kyrie and Luka can do in this Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, listen, I was really impressed with the series. Obviously, I think Luka, Kyrie, those two are the ones that that always stand out. But the one that I mistakenly mentioned earlier, because I got it on my mind, was Derek Lively, the addition that they made, and the draft from those last year's draft pick, right? He comes in and he I think he had the plus minus in this. He was plus 71, and every minute that he played was impactful. Right. And I think that if you can take, because Luka and Kyrie are going to get theirs. But when you think about the Dallas team going against Minnesota, it's like, how can they have enough length to combat what Minnesota does well? And I think it's with guys like Derek Lively, with Gafford, the trade that they made at the deadline, that could really, really help you. And because I do think that Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards are going to lock down Luka and Kyrie. I think it's going to be really, if you see Luka get like 30 points, it's going to be trash minutes, and we've already seen that he's going to be guarding Kyrie. So that means that
which I fucking loved.
Yeah, I'm taking Kyrie.
He's like, I'm taking Kyrie. Let's see.
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking love this guy.
Which means McDaniels is going to be guarding Luka, and he's big enough to do that.
Yeah. Thanks. DK?
Yeah, I mean the T-Wolves are going to win in 4. I thought I really enjoyed the operatic and wonderful pageantry that was the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks. I think that it was cool. It was like the end of a soap opera. Like Luka came in that last game and he was like, or game 6 rather, and he was like, I'm just gonna make an effort to have like a better demeanor. I'm not gonna like bitch at the refs as much. And like, no, I'm nice guy Luka now. Like he turned face. And he was like, I'm nice guy, Luka. And like, yeah, I'm here to like win some basketball. And, Kyrie's like, I have a new like reformed image of like who Kyrie Irving is. Like anti-Semitism. I don't remember that. Do you, the media? And it's cool. It's cool. It's a cool little narrative that they've constructed. I don't mind it. I enjoyed watching that backcourt play. They match up terribly against the T-Wolves. They match up worse against the Nuggets. So I think that they should count their lucky stars that who the fuck were they going to throw at Jokic? Like that would have just been an absolute disaster. But I mean, you saw what Jokic was doing to a team that had 2 big guys that they could throw at him for 7 games, and like it finally paid off. Yeah, I mean, it's a backcourt versus backcourt battle. I hope it's good. I hope if it went 6, it would be a really fun series. If it went 6. I think we should think back to like what we saw the T-Wolves do against the Suns. and the way that they kind of came out and 4-0'd the Suns. A team coming through the test that we just watched them come through is a team on fire in the next round. You get +10 everything across the board. I'll point you to, do you remember the really slog of a series against Giannis in round 2 I want to say it was the Warriors finals year? And it was just the worst thing in the world. It was like you were tired watching it because of how much Giannis was just giving it to us in the front court, but we still found a way to win. And the following series, we were just red hot because it's tested versus rested, right? The Timberwolves are coming out just like having just passed the biggest test of their careers across the board. Like every single member of the Timberwolves just passed the biggest hurdle of their careers. The team as a team, the identity that they're trying for, they just accomplished the thing that they're building themselves to accomplish, which is to beat the Nuggets. I venture to guess if you're the front office of the Minnesota Timberwolves, at least 2 years ahead of schedule. At least 2 years ahead of schedule are they in this position. And I just think that Anthony Edwards I think he's gonna be like a show.
Yeah.
Like I just think he's gonna come out. The way that they were dealing with him in Denver was really, really canny, really, really, really smart. And maybe Luka and Kyrie can combine to do a defensive thing to him that I'm not expecting. But Ray, like, is that Luka and Kyrie? Are they beating you by like intelligent defensive traps? You know?
Yeah, they're not. They're obviously those two will never ever ever be known to be defensive stoppers. Like that's not their calling card. To me, they have figured it out to an extent defensively. Once again, Mike mentioned it, but their Lowry's been awesome. Gaff has been huge for them. From the deadline. PJ Washington has played way above.
That's been crazy.
But that's
been fucking crazy.
He's been great. So once again, I feel like I know you said it's been +10 for Minnesota, but I feel like it's been +10 for Dallas too, because with each round, they beat the Clippers and they beat the number 1 seed. They should be confident going into this series as well. Like now, obviously, you have to play the games, and as fans, we could predict all we want, but you have to play the games within the 94 feet. Once again, we've seen, and granted, although it didn't end the way that we wanted it here in Boston, we've seen Kyrie in moments that didn't matter. He hit the most important shot in the last 25 years.
No, he's a soul stealer. Absolutely.
He is someone that, and granted,
so is Luka.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on the biggest stage, but like
with Kyrie, though, I feel like I'm just like if there's put like this, if it's like 110 to 108. And Kyrie Irving has the ball.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
I fully expect. You said what? Say that again.
I wouldn't be looking forward to that. No, I would be like, fuck.
I fully expect Kyrie to hit that shot. I feel like that's like I don't care who's on him. Like his handle was unreal. Like so, it's just like to me, yes. I wonder once again, Mike Conley, ice up, son. In the words of Steve Smith, ice up, because you may not play that much this series. you might be on the side because I don't know. Once again, Mike Conley has been a very good player a majority of his career. There's no way if you're Chris Finch, like there's no way you could put Mike Conley for any minutes on Kyrie Irving or Luka. It has to be.
I don't think you have to. I think you can hide him on the floor. I really genuinely do.
Yeah, you put him on PJ Washington because I'm telling you, if you put him on Kyrie or Luka, it is going to be hunting season, mixtape session, all in one. And
can I ask you this
response?
Can I ask you this question in response?
Absolutely.
Where are Kyrie's lanes to get to the hoop? Where are they?
I have never seen a better finisher around the rim than him.
I don't think he gets there. Is my point. I don't think he gets there.
No, sure, but I'm like,
there's two absolute palm trees. So even if Ant can't lock him down, and Ant's taking him one-on-one, and I think he's been the best one-on-one defender of the playoffs so far. Ant's taking him one-on-one, and then he hands him off to fucking the defensive player of the year, which I now think is an award that counts because it's helping my point. He's handing him off to the defensive player of the year and Rudy Gobert. Like, is he super crafty around the rim? Yeah, but like, man, this is going to be a hard slog for Kyrie Irving because I made the point in the last pod when we were talking about how they looked against Oklahoma City. There's moments where Oklahoma City was able to do that to him, guide him onto a big guy, and just rim protect. I mean, that's just the unfortunate reality of Kyrie Irving's size at the guard position. Thankfully, he has 9 knives in his arsenal. He can kill you with a mid-range jump shot. He can definitely pass really well. He can like split lanes. He can move guys around. He'll be doing that. Don't get me wrong. It's just like he's gonna have Anthony Edwards following him home, you know. And I just worry about his output.
Like, listen, if he's at the hotel getting breakfast, Anthony Edwards should be right there serving the buffet. If he's getting on the bus, Anthony Edwards should be driving the bus. If he like,
what was I saying about Jaylen Brown? What was I saying about Jaylen Brown? If we saw Brunson, saw Brunson, I was like, Jaylen Brown should literally just stare at him. Only come on the court when Brunson came on the court. Leave when Brunson leaves. Make it a narrative with the commentators. Stare down the fucking the huddle at him. Don't talk to him. Don't say one fucking word to him for the entire like defensive series. Just live in his brain, rent free, like Freddie Krueger. And that's exactly what Anthony Edwards is about to do. He's already sounding off on it. He's already fucking blowing his bugle on it. So like, I'm with it the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for it. So we are definitely
for that matchup, dude. Holy,
it's gonna be great. Wednesday night is gonna be awesome. Like I said, we're recording this on a Monday, but let's just close out with the predictions. I know Dave already has Wolves in 4, so we got that. Mike, what do you have here? And I'll close out with mine.
Wolves in 5.
Wolves in 5. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go with Dallas at 7.
Whoa.
Yep, Dallas at 7.
You know what, Ray? You're a fucking hater, dude. You're a fucking.
No, I'm not. I said to you a few days ago. I said Dallas was going to the finals.
Hater.
I said Dallas was going to the finals. I said that to you.
You also said you were the least fucking worried about them.
I am. I am. It doesn't mean it.
No, that's true too, right? All right, fine. I'll give you that one. But listen, you're a fucking hater. Get on Anthony Edwards train. Chew. It's fucking.
I don't think I didn't dog him at all. This show.
I know you. I know your tactics. I know you're fucking. I know you're fucking.
No,
Dallas in 7. Dallas in 7.
Dallas in 7. It's not like I said Dallas in 4. Not even disrespectful. No, Dallas in 7. Dallas in 7. Kyrie has a similar shot that he had in Cleveland to win it. That's what I'm going with there.
I will say this. I don't think it's fair to say that Luka and Kyrie can lose 4 games in a row. So I will actually augment, and I think that my realistic expectation pick is Minnesota in 4 still. Fuck those guys. Yeah.
Cool. So all right. So that's the way we'll end it. So for GK Sizzle, for Money Mike Marcangelo, I'm Hollywood Rayshawn Buchanan. Until the next time, we'll see you. Peace.
Welcome to the Candle Power Hour. Come with us backstage behind the scenes of show business spanning over 4 decades and bringing you the experiences that can only be told by the people who were there.
Our guests are from the A-list, the F-list, and everyone in between. Get set for some of the most insane, hilarious, and inspiring stories you will ever hear.
I'm Mercury.
And I'm Diego.
Your hosts for the Candle Power Hour.
Hey there, I'm DC. I host the rock podcast, Back to the Arena, The Interviews. It's about a 30-minute podcast where I talk one-on-one with a band who has released new music. You can find us on all the best podcast sites like Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and more. If you're a rock fan like me, subscribe today to Back to the Arena, The Interviews.
Electricast.